All right, guys, here's the deal. Really happy to see all of you here. Wow, it's really bright. I can't see any of you, but I'm sure you're there. Thanks for coming. This is gonna be really fast. I have a lot of slides. So my goal is to make it fun and educational. I wanna take you through what it's like to live my life at the Olympics. I've done 8 of them, which I'll talk about here in a second. Before I do that, my voice is a little hoarse. This is last night on the Cannon boat. And I can tell you that they had free drinks and they were flowing. So if I'm a little hoarse, I blame them. It was a hell of a lot of fun though. So I've done 8 Olympic Games for Team USA, started back in Beijing in 2008, did Vancouver, did Sochi, did London, did Rio, Pyeongchang, Tokyo, and Paris. And the first time I shot the Olympics, I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I had to pinch myself. It was so amazing. And still, every time I do, I have that same thought. It's pretty incredible to be there. It's crazy pace. Generally get up around 9 in the morning, work till about 2 or 3 in the morning every day for 3 weeks. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. So we're gonna jam through this, so get ready. Best part about being at the Olympics, I'm at the Olympics, right? I mean, it's so cool to be there. You have the best athletes in the world. I got the best seat right there with them. I know a lot of the athletes, which is really fun. People always talk to me like, how do you do that? How do you get that photo? Well, we have the best athletes in the world, best lighting, good backgrounds. It's much harder to shoot a high school game, honestly, than to shoot the Olympics. But it's really cool. Normally, we have great access and great transportation. The last couple of Olympics, they said, oh, our transportation is really good. You can use public transportation instead, which in Paris sounded really good, except that you have stairs up, stairs down, stairs up, stairs down, stairs up, to get to one train stop. And you're carrying, 2 think tank bags and cameras and lenses. It was really brutal. The other thing is the tight deadlines. When I shot my first Olympics in 2008, we had a 24-hour deadline. Then social media came in, it moved from 24 hours to 10 hours to 2 hours to 14 minutes. So when I shoot an event at the Olympics for Team USA, it is literally me shooting 4,000 images of a particular game. I have 14 minutes to go through those 4,000, find the best 10, retouch them, resize them, and get them back to the US. So I use Photo Mechanic for that. I use really fast computers, fast memory cards, a lot of Diet Coke in my brain to keep myself going, especially after the second, third week, we're exhausted. So the deadlines are crazy. People always ask me, like, why do you only shoot 1 or 2 sports a day? Well, the venues could be hours from each other. The next Olympics, believe it or not, is only 7 months from now. It's in Milan, in Italy. And I'll be shooting for USA Hockey, men's and women's ice hockey. But that timing to go from ice in downtown in Milan to where the skiing is a 14-hour drive each way. So basically, Team USA has already told me, if you're gonna be in the cluster with hockey and figure skating and speed skating, that's all you're gonna do. There's no way you're gonna move. So venues are not easy to get to. Trying to pace myself, so when I'm shooting, in Paris, I shot 80,000 images in 20 days. And I blog. How many people here read my blog? Cool. I blog every day. Normally I blog once a week about what I'm shooting. From the Olympics, I blog once or twice a day. Those take me a good hour or 2 to write. So that's why my days are crazy, crazy long. I'm competing with 2,200 other photographers at the Summer Olympics. And the tough part is how do I get a safe shot, but then get something more creative? So I try to find different unique shooting positions when I'm working. I'll show you that. So this is like what it looks like. This is when Simone Biles was getting ready to do the beam. And we were crammed into this space. This was 2 hours before she even got on the beam. And this is just one photo position. You see another one over on the side. So the competition's crazy. This is actually from how many people have seen the Simone Biles show on Netflix? So I was watching it. I'm like, hey, there I am right there in the shot. So it's kind of cool to be on Netflix. There, my claim to fame. The biggest challenges at Paris, as I mentioned, they didn't do press buses. So press buses take us right from the press center right to the press entrance of the venue, which is really great. But in Paris, they didn't do that. We had to take trains. Well, the trains would get off 3/4 of a mile from the venue. Then we get to the venue, and you'd say to them, where's the press entrance? Well, they don't know. So you may have to walk a mile around the venue just to find it. So it was tough. A lot of walking, which I don't mind doing because I usually walk 7 miles a day. Tons of stairs, as I mentioned. The heat was tough. We go from heat outside to air conditioning to heat to air conditioning. You guys ever done that? You end up with like 10 layers of sweat on you by the time you get back to your hotel. I was also using pre-production cameras. So Canon's a sponsor of mine. I was using pre-production cameras of the Canon R1 and I also had the Canon R5 Mark II. But I had to shoot everything JPEG because at the time, no software opened up the raw file because the cameras weren't really in existence at the time. The best part, the locations were amazing. You'll see that in the photos coming up. The venues were really, really cool. The food actually was pretty good because it was France. I can tell you that when we did the Olympics in Russia, they had an eating area that held 800 people. I never saw more than 4 people in it because it was like prison slop. Like, it was gross. So the food in France was actually pretty good, and my hotel actually was livable. So for those who follow my blog, you've seen like in Sochi when I went to Russia, my hotel had 10 outlets, of which 1 worked. We had no Wi-Fi in the building until 3 days before the Olympics ended. Remember, this is a press hotel. So my hotel actually was fairly good this time. And the best part was there was no COVID. So the restrictions in Tokyo Olympics, we had a COVID test 6 times before we went. 1 time when we landed, they held us in a room like this at the airport with everybody waiting for our COVID test to get back. And I'm thinking, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, and we had to COVID test every day. And if you, of course, got COVID tested and you were positive, you were toast. And in Beijing Olympics, Winter Olympics, I did not go because of COVID. So it was nice to be COVID-free. Here's all the equipment that I have. As I mentioned, for this Olympics, I had the Canon 1 pre-production. I'm now using the real thing, the R5 Mark II. My favorite lens in the Paris Olympics was the 100 to 300 2.8, and I would use that lens with sometimes with a tele adapter on it. Coming up in Milan, because I'm shooting ice hockey, I'll be mainly using the 70 to 200. So I won't have to bring any really long lenses, which will be kind of nice. But I've got a whole plethora of lenses. When I shoot events in the San Francisco Bay Area, I tend to use the 15-35, 24-70, and the 70-200. Those are my 3 favorite lenses. For sports and wildlife, totally different, then I'll use the longer lenses. And you'll see over on the right all the other products I use. I use Canon flash. I also use Westcott lighting when I shoot events because the wireless is more accurate for triggering. Tiffin filters to protect the front of my lens. Benro tripods, think tank bags, pro grade cards, black rapid straps. Apple takes care of me, so every Olympics I get a whole slew of new MacBooks, and which is nice. Wacom tablets, and I calibrate with the data color. So this is kind of like my plethora of what I have, and some of this goes to the Olympics and some doesn't, just because I have limited space. This was kind of my go-to. This was my gear before I left for Paris. This is what I took with me. And people always ask me, how much this gets checked? Nothing. Don't ever check your gear. If they lose your clothes, just buy new clothes. But don't ever check your gear, it's too expensive. But Canon has their room there, so I can just kind of go to the Canon CPS area and say, I'd like to borrow today a 600 f4, or I need 1 more Canon R1. And the cool thing at the Olympics is if you break something, they'll fix it for you there. So I usually bring all my broken gear to the Olympics and hand it to Canon's somewhere in here, that guy. That'll get me in trouble. So let me take you through the images here. This is before the Olympics. They actually do what they do is they do press meetings where they introduce a lot of the athletes. So I'm from the Bay Area and we love Steph Curry. So my girlfriend loves Steph Curry. I was required to get the shot. So luckily I was in the 3rd row. I waited for a great reaction shot. You'll notice when I shoot, I always kind of shoot to frame to get those logos in every shot. This is me at opening ceremonies. I went to Paris. I was very excited about opening ceremonies. I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing because they're going to come down the river instead of being stuck in a stadium. And let me tell you, it was the worst experience of my life. So this is where it started. You'll see little raindrops there in the Louvre behind me. And then it just dumped. And I mean, we had to be in position 12 hours before. This is Team USA that came in at 10 o'clock, 9:45 at night. There was no lights on the river. So I'm shooting at ISO like 10,000, hoping to God to get 1 shot. I had been drenched. I had no rain cover. I just was wearing clothes like this, and I'd been drenched for 12 hours. It was horrific. So it went from being the highlight, what I thought would be the highlight, to one of the worst days. And I remember calling home saying, like, this Olympics sucks, and I'm really mad. I was just exhausted. And then they lit the flame, so they said to us, hey, you're one of the 2 photo positions that can go get the flame lighting. And at that point, I was so soaked, I'm like, oh, what the hell? Let's just go do it. And I did it. And you can't tell, but it was dumping rain then too, and it stopped. I'm like, oh, good. And then 10 minutes before they came out, it started dumping again. So it's not all fun. Here's my goal. My goal is to capture the peak of action, getting great backgrounds, Olympic rings and colors. I want to capture the action and the reaction of the athletes. I want to tell a story. So if I'm shooting for USA Water Polo, which is my primary team this summer, USA Ice Hockey in winter, and let's say the goalie has a shutout, I better have a darn good shot of that goalie stopping the ball of the puck. And I want to capture what the team wants from me, but I also want to be able to capture what I want. So before the games even started, I was over at the water polo facility where the pool was. On the flip side of that was the diving, and they were practicing. So again, I set up to try to get the rings dead center and waited for a diver to come right through. Working those backgrounds for gymnastics, if they were off to the far right by a TV camera, it would look terrible. So I positioned myself with the rings in the background. I got the 2024 at the top. I wait for the athlete to do something at that peak of action right in front of those logos. Same thing here with Simone. I just had her stay right like that so I could get the photo. Again, framing it to get the Paris 2024. The interesting thing is if you look in the background, there's no logos, right? So if I don't get that balance beam, that could be Simone at practice or anywhere. This shot here, this is a testament to the Canon R1. This is me shooting the uneven bars. And you think about it, uneven bars, you're going from here to here to here to here, flipping, twisting, right? Trying to track them. My take rate previously, like with the 1DX, was about 10 or 15%. With the Canon R1, it locked in on her eyes and I got the shot. It was just totally amazing. And I think my take rate was like 90%. It was pretty incredible with the new focus systems. And I wish I could tell you I take credit for that, but I have to give credit to Canon because it was pretty awesome. That's one of my favorite shots from the games. Again, working those backgrounds, of course, she was the highlight of the Olympics. She was the one that everybody wanted the pictures of. So I tried to get as many shots as I could there. Hey, this is copyrighted. Again, her on the uneven bars, just to track them. And it was really cool to be able to photograph and just use the AF on and lock in on the eye detection and have it do so much of the work for me. Reactions, as I talk about. Here's what I want you to look at. This is her reaction in Paris when she knew she was doing great. Look at the light in her eyes. The same image from Paris. If you remember, she had to bow out because of psychological reasons. Look at the sadness in her eyes. And go back to this one and look at the difference in that. That's amazing to me. That tells a story in a photo. And that's my job. And of course, elation, you want to get that, right? The celebration, so important. Now this one here, for this shot I was straight on, the other shot I was straight on, here I was not. And the reason I went off center for this shot, I knew that they would not be facing us, but I liked the fact that I could see the Paris 2024 with the logo. So I actually positioned myself for that shot in a different angle. There were also less photographers to fight with over there. So when I'm photographing, and this is true with the Olympics or anything else, I want to be ready at all times. So like if I'm shooting an event, I'm based in San Francisco area, I shot an event on Saturday, I'm looking around all the time to see what am I missing. So I also play ice hockey. When you play hockey, they say you have your head on a swivel, be aware, because otherwise you get killed. So you want to keep looking around. So I look around, I try to shoot differently than those 2,200 other photographers. I did a lot of motion panning, stuff like that. I think about my foregrounds, my backgrounds. I did a video for B&H years ago called the 15 Things I Think About Every Time I Hit the Shutter. And most of you here who are shooters don't even know you're doing it. You're thinking, okay, am I at the right aperture? How's my background? What's my foreground? Am I at the right, how's my shutter speed? Are there any exit signs I could avoid? Whatever. And those are the things I think about. I try to get good angles. I shoot tight, I shoot wide. I actually love zoom lenses. I don't like prime lenses. I like to build a reframe quite a bit. I look for patterns and leading lines. This is a shot I did in Tokyo Olympics. I threw this in because it was my marquee shot that I did. For those of you who think this is Photoshop, this is not. This is in camera. All of the newer cameras in the last like 5-6 years, they have multi-exposure mode. It's in your cameras. Check it out. I set it for 4 exposures. I'm holding on for dear life because at the Olympics, they don't allow flash or tripods. So I don't want the logo at the bottom to move, so I'm holding on for dear life, waiting for both athletes to jump at the same time. And if one doesn't, then it's just stacked up on each other. If they both move like this, it worked out perfectly. It took me about probably 70 or 80 shots to get this one. I did the same thing in Paris, but weirdly enough, every other Olympics, it's theatrically lit with a black background. In Paris, they did it at the Grand Palace, and I didn't have that. So I tried it. I didn't have quite that contrast that you need to do it, but it's still fun to do, both tight and shoot wide. So the Grand Palace was amazing the way it was set up, so I thought, okay, I'll shoot it both ways. As I mentioned, I shot for USA Water Polo. This is Jenna, who happens to live 10 minutes from my house. I still have to print a poster of this for her. And again, here, when I went to the pool, the first thing I saw was, oh my God, they've got reflections of the lights on the water. And I said to the venue manager, what the heck? Like, this is gonna suck. And he goes, well, that's what TV wants. And trust me, OBS, which is Olympic Broadcasting System, they own the world. They control everything. Everything you see on TV, on NBC, comes from OBS. Unless it's NBC, interviewing, having their anchors. All the stuff in the venues is coming from Olympic broadcast. So they wanted the light. Well, okay, what do we do with it? Well, when she took this penalty shot, I knew that there would be backlight. I figured there'd be backlight on that on the water coming off the ball. So I went in with the Canon R1. I put it in pre-capture mode, so go backwards half a second to make sure I didn't miss anything. So every time there was a penalty shot, I go to pre-capture and just hammer the shutter. And I got this perfect arc of the water, and I really like that. Same thing here, peak of action, right? Ashley Johnson, amazing goaltender, probably arguably one of the best female goaltenders ever in water polo. And she has a great dark complexion, which just is so beautiful in the pool. Actually, she just emailed me 3 days ago for that image because she wanted to give it to her mom. It was cool at this Olympics because we had a lot of VIPs. So Flavor Flav, who's now like my buddy, because, I can hang with Flav. And he was there, and he brought like Spike Lee, and he brought Guy Fieri, which was fun. And we had Joe Biden there. It was really weird. That's different for me. I mean, I've been on the NBC sets, and I've gotten some cool photos with some stars there. But it was really fun to capture stuff like that. In this case, it was pretty funny. They said, Jill Biden's here, and she wants to meet the team. Well, I haven't been I'm security clearance to the Olympics, but not by the Secret Service. So they wouldn't let me in. And then they eventually said, okay, he can come in. But they said, but don't talk to her. So she goes to set up with a team, and they were a horrible background. I'm like, well, you gotta break the rules. So I said, Miss Biden, can we move you over here? And she's like, sure, no problem. They don't care. So sometimes you have to learn when to bend those rules. Again, more water polo, me keeping that focal point on the eye. But I love this shot, another penalty shot with the water coming off the arm. And here, trying something different, I got the Paris logo, which I was trying to get on the ball. And I love the fact that, so when people show me images and want me to critique, I say to them, what's your subject, right? Well, here, what's my subject? No, it's not him. It's the ball with the logo. He's the supporting subject. So when you look at your photos, think about what is your subject. And if you don't know, then you have a problem. And it doesn't have to be a person. It could be leaves on a rock. What's your subject? Is it the water coming down or the leaf? Here, actually really worked out well because it framed the athletes with the Olympic rings in the background. So again, I always want to say where I am, because if the rings aren't there, you don't know where we are. You can't even see the logo on their hat, on the cap. Now, reaction. Can you fake this? No. You can't say to them, do that one more time. But I love this. This is great. Head coaches never show a good reaction, ever. I don't care if they're on the verge of winning a medal or not, but I love the athletes and even some of the other coaches there. I mean, even these guys, this guy's one of the medical trainers, they're all psyched. And the reason was the men were not supposed to win anything because they haven't in years, and they actually took home a bronze. So that was cool because I'm their photographer. I can group them up and they listen to me. I remember my first Olympics shooting for them in 2010 in London. The woman won gold, and I went to shoot. Now, normally we have like 8 or 9 photographers at the game. Gold medal game, you may have 50. And so I'm trying to get the team shot, and I've got people going in front of me. I'm like throwing elbows and kicking them, and I get out of my way. And this time, I could just tell them where I wanted them, and they listened. It was great. So we got this shot here, but where they gave them the medals was right next to where the stands were. So there was almost no separation between them and the background, and it sucked. So I told all the guys, once they got their sweatsuits on, come back out. This is where they came through for introductions before the game. But I love it with the logo on the floor and the colors, so we did this shot. And the cool thing is, I get to step in because I got to get a medal shot too. It's pretty fun because the team always says to me, hey, you're part of our team. We want you to be included in the team photos and stuff. That's very, very fun for me. I try to go and shoot as many different sports I can just because it's fun to do. So I shot Taekwondo. This is literally 7,200 right on the mat. This shot here is the same spot as this spot, 7,200, 10 to 20. So think about lens choices too when you're shooting, because, right, it's a totally different vibe in that photo, just changing lenses. And it's so weird because it looks like I'm so far away from those athletes, and I'm probably 10, 12 feet from them. But what a cool venue. That's the one thing Paris did really, really well. The horse jumping was in Versailles, and I'm like, really, are you kidding me? How cool is this? So I get to go out to Versailles. That was a trek. That was about a 3-hour ride to get out there. But to get out there, you'll see the white fence on the edge. I was actually right up at the white fence. I got down low with the wide angle with the 15 to 35, I think it was, and got this shot. Again, most of sports photographers, we get down low to make the action bigger. If you ever see people on the sidelines of an NFL game, and we're always down super low because it makes the athletes bigger. I really just like this shot. I like the fact that it's got the French vibe in it. And stands, because remember when I shot horse jumping in Tokyo, there was no one in the stands because it was still COVID. But let me go back for a minute. This is my safe shot. This is probably 2,000th of a second. And I shot the whole rest of horse jumping at 30th of a second and motion panned it. Why? Because I want to be different. So I'm trying to get the face tack sharp and just blur everything else. So my take rate is not really good. Maybe 1 out of every 25 or 30 will come out, but it's worth it to do something different. So here's peak of action down on the bottom of the beach volleyball area that was right at the base of the Eiffel Tower. This is where pre-capture really came in handy on these new cameras, where I can hold the button down. It'll go back half a second. I found that when I was shooting volleyball down at the sand level, I kept missing certain shots. So I turned on pre-capture so I could go back half a second. So if they did a dig like this, I got to go back and go, oh good, I got it. Same thing with badminton. I never shot badminton. Anybody tried that? It's a very fast sport. And so pre-capture really helped for me to get the peak of action. Again, if the birdie, whatever you call that thing, is not in the shot, it ain't a shot. If I'm shooting ice hockey, I want the puck in the shot, right? Breakdancing, one and done. It's the only time it'll be done. It didn't do very well in the Olympics. But I had to go get it, because everybody's gonna ask me, did you do breakdancing? So I did get over there. I did not get the Australian breakdancer. Everybody was texting me at the Olympics, like, did you get the Aussie? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because here's the weird thing. When you guys are home watching the Olympics, you get all the good stuff. You get all the backstory and all that. We know nothing. That picture of Simone Biles in Tokyo when she was sad, we didn't even know what was going on. We're like, why is she not warming up? You get all of it because tape delayed and all that, and you find out we know nothing. It was fun to shoot though. Skateboarding, I hadn't done it before, I wanted to do it. This is again, this is a 7200 I'm actually right on the pool deck. Again, the cool thing about the Olympics, I could never go to the Olympics as a spectator because I'm so spoiled. So we get to stand right up there with the athletes and get shots like this. This one here, I really wanted the Eiffel Tower in the shot and the obelisk, and I had that stupid boom TV camera right there. But like I said, OBS runs the world. I'm not telling them anything, and they're gonna keep it right there. So I thought, well, the only way to get this shot is to include that. But then if you look at the skater gets lost in the background. So I'm shooting, and I'm watching it, and I look at it and I go, but the shadow's cool. So I did is I made the shadow my subject and made the skateboarder and everything else supporting. Again, just trying to do something different. Speaking of different, so this shot won me the Sports Photographer of the Year this year, one of them. I stood on the pool deck straight onto these Olympic rings and just waited for some of the athletes to come and make that jump. I have a couple of them. I have one with someone dead center. This one was off to the side. And I put it on my blog and I said, which one do you like? And unanimously, people like this one. And really fun shot to get. Again, trying to do something different. Coco Gauff. This is where they played the French Open. And it was so hot that day. It had to be like 95. And I'm in the stands, kind of opposite where these people are shooting, and I was dying. So what I did is I went underneath. You see that TV camera in the pit down there? It was really cool down there. So I'm like, I'm out of here. It's like sometimes it's about comfort too. So I got the hell out of there. And I went down and I shot, but I noticed the Olympic rings that were on the net. So I pre-focused with the camera on her and not the rings and got this shot. And then this shot, which I really like, I know some people are like, that's kind of weird, I'm going underneath her dress. But I saw that Coco, when she served, I could frame it with the legs of this athlete. So again, I shot it at 2.8 to diffuse everything, but I really like this shot. This is the kayak cross, and they came down, they got launched, and when they launched, I loved the way that the water spilled out from each of them. And I really wanted a shot of all 4 of them. Problem was, every time I shot, one boat would be off. So I get 3 in the water, 1 still coming down, or 2 coming down, 1 in the, and it was like, oh God. It took me a lot of shots to get all 4 kind of equally entering the water. And again, you see when I shot it, I framed it with the Paris logo and the Olympic rings in the shot. And this is Ryan Krauser, who's a 3-time gold medalist. I shot this, and I got into position waiting for him. I was shooting for a client who needed shots of him. And there's OBS right here in the front. So I have a great shooting position. They could come and block the whole thing. So I had to move to get the shot. But it was fun. I used the lights in the background for that. And then I got that reaction. And again, he knew on his first throw, he had won gold for the 3rd time, which is amazing. I just, like, my arms look just like that, you know what I mean? But I mean, so cool to get that reaction. Reaction of the athletes. I just, the stuff you can't fake. Love the dust coming off their hands. Simone, we talked about Simone and the look. That look says it all, right? You know she did well. My son actually texted me and said, Dad, you gotta go get rugby. Now, I've never shot rugby, I don't know rugby. He goes, it's really cool. So one day I got done shooting. The great thing about Olympic photography, I'm one of the few independent photographers for Team USA. So when I'm done shooting, let's say water polo, I can do anything I want. So I just look at my app and go, what's going on next? Oh, I'll go head over there, which is really fun. So I went and shot rugby. It was really fun to get different reactions. This one here is straight on. This is Simone. I love it with the little tongue coming off the side. This shot here, now a lot of people will be like, well, no, wait, he's not facing you. But I saw the reaction. We looked for that reaction. That says everything, right? We know we scored a goal. I love the Olympic rings on the tattoo. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't be a great shot, but it just worked out. Long jump, which I'd never shot. You can tell she's pretty happy. The fans. My job as a photographer for the team is not just to shoot the team, but to get reactions from the fans. I love walking through the public area and seeing people with their faces painted and stuff, and I'll stop them and get photos. This photo is one of my favorites. So 3 months before I went to Paris, I preconceived this image. This is what I want. I want sunset, I want Eiffel Tower with the volleyball. And it was tough to meter this because if I metered for this, this blew out. If I metered for this, this was too dark. So I metered about midway through the frame. And then in post, in Photoshop, I brightened up the background in the Eiffel Tower and I darkened this area. So I did a little dodge and burn. And typically with the Olympics, we're not allowed to do anything. We can adjust things like dodge and burn and exposure and white balance and crop, but we can't take things out. Like if I said, gee, I don't like these lights here because they're distracting, we can't do that. So, because then we're changing reality. And I went and I shot this 4 days into the Olympics. I posted it on social media and somebody wrote in and goes, yeah, but you weren't dead center. He was right, but I couldn't get dead center because there were so many photographers shooting at the time. So I went back about a week and a half later, and there was no one there because everybody got in their shot. Much better sunset. I waited dead center and got the shot. And this is hung up on my wall at home. Here's Olympics by the numbers. So 22 days in Paris, I walked 210 miles in 22 days. And I track it with my Apple Watch. I spent about 25 hours on trains, way too long. I wrote 41 blog posts. It takes about 2 hours per blog. The blog readership actually went way over it was 700,000 readers plus subscribers. It actually ended up about 1 million. I about 5.5 hours of sleep per day. Let me tell you something. When I got home after 3 weeks, I sleep like 19-hour days for a couple days. I took about 85,000 images. I kept about 25,000. So every day, every night, I'm purging because I don't want to fill up my drive with a bunch of stuff. So if I've got the ref's butt in the background or in the foreground, it's deleted. If it's not peak of action, I'll get the shots that are peak of action, I'll get rid of some of the other ones. So I'll purge through them. So about 350 gig of usable images, or a lot of images on my drive. This is my shameless self-promotion, and then we're going to open up for questions as I go through. So I do photo tours all over the world. Most of them are sold out, actually all of them for this year. And I just opened up some new ones. So Costa Rica, which I've done 15 times, and have a lot of fun doing those. I've got spots open for that. Pantanal, which is brand new. I just finalized that 3 days ago. Costa Rica again, and then Tanzania, which I just created a week and a half ago, and I haven't even advertised it, and it's sold out. So I'm doing a second one there. So if you want to come along, we have a lot of fun on those. If you want to get a hold of me, this is how you get a hold of me. So my website, jeffcable.com, the blog, again, I blog typically once a week. My email address is there. If you scan the QR code, that'll take you right to the blog subscription, and that way, anytime I blog, it'll just email it to you, make it easy. And then YouTube, which I do sparingly, Jeff Cable Photography, and Twitter. So there, I jammed through that. Now I want to open it up for any questions that you guys might have. Whew. Was that whirlwind or what? Yeah? All right. Now I can see you. And he gets kudos for wearing the Jeff Cable hat in the front row. That's pretty good, because Alan's done photo tour with me in Africa. So any questions? Yeah.
What your background is and how you got like the job at Team USA.
Oh, the number one question.
Yeah,
how'd you get this gig?
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge sports photographer, so yeah, I just wanted
Cool.
to know how you got that.
You know, honestly, I started like most people. My kids were in swim team. I'd shoot swimming. Or my son did like track and field one time because he liked a girl on the team, and he sucked. Oh. And you sit there for like 8 hours for like a 30-second thing, and you're like, oh, that was fun. But I'd shoot some other stuff there. So I started with those kinds of sports. I went to Beijing to shoot. I was not fully credentialed at the time, but I saw what the other photographers were doing. I got some day passes. A magazine in Australia saw my work and said, can you shoot some stuff for us? I did. I came back from that and said, I'm shooting the next Olympics. I went to every newspaper and magazine, asked them, hey, I'll shoot for free. Remember, it cost about 10 grand to go. I'll shoot for free, just give me a credential. It got shut down everywhere. Luckily, I do some photography for the San Jose Sharks and the Niners, but I also know some of the, like the owner, I did the wedding for the president and CEO of the Sharks. He knew someone at USA Hockey. He connected me up with them. I called USA Hockey and said, I'll shoot for free. They didn't even call me back because they probably thought I was a lunatic. Because who does that? And so, but when he put in the word and said, Jeff's friend of ours, we're good, that got me in. Once I got my foot in there, that helped me with the US Olympic team. After doing 3 Olympics, now I'm part of what they call the Olympic family. I'm pretty much guaranteed a credential so I can shoot until I'm dead, which could happen. I'll be in a walker like in 2032, like trying to get to the next venue. But it is so much fun. But that's the long and short is you just got to work your way up, build that portfolio, and try, and then it's really who you know. I hate to say that, but I mean, because I've seen people with amazing stuff, and there's only 62 credentials or something for all of us, and that includes all the newspapers, Washington Post and San Francisco Chronicle, whoever. So it's tough. It's really hard. And people always ask me like, "Hey, like, does your girlfriend go, or do your kids ever go with you?" I'm like, "No, I get one credential. It's me." So like when I'm shooting hockey in Milan, me with my laptop on the ice. So I'm shooting through plexi because they don't have holes like we do in the NHL because too many photographers. So we're shooting through plexi. The minute that buzzer goes at the end of the period, I'm dropping my cameras down. I've got 2 cameras, one with a 70-200, one with a fisheye, in case they cram up against the glass on me. I'll grab those memory cards out, jam them into the readers, get it on my laptop, find the best 10, get them back to the team, because they want to be able to post and say, U.S. is up over Canada 3-2, watch the next period. So I'm a one-man band just because I can't get another credential. So. And it wouldn't be very fun to take someone with me because they'd have no access and I have full access. It'd be kind of boring.
We have another question here.
No, he actually answered it during this.
It was the same question, wasn't it?
No, it was
All
not.
right.
No, I was asking, do you have people with you to help you carry equipment or assistance?
Oh, I
or anything
wish.
like that?
If I had a nickel for everybody that said, hey, I'll carry your bags, I'd be a very wealthy man. Unfortunately, the challenge is I've got to do it. I do it all. Like I literally, even at home, I shoot, I edit, I do my own album design, I do my own marketing, my own social media, and it's just me. But I'm such a control freak. And like I don't job out my retouching. When I shoot an event, I do it all myself because I want it done right. And so that control freak portion. If I could have a Sherpa to carry all my stuff, I would, trust me. That would be a dream. Oh, there's my Sherpa. All right, got it. All right, give me your email after. Yeah, another question?
How you doing?
Good.
I follow you, or not necessarily follow you, but I've definitely watched some of your content on YouTube, I believe with B&H,
Yep.
referring to the Olympics. I actually attended the Olympics in Paris as a
Oh, cool.
just a fan. I'm a budding sports photographer, and I guess my question is a two-part question, and it's kind of similar to about how you got started with the
Yep.
Olympics, but I made a goal that I want to shoot the 2028 Olympics. I know it's tough,
Tough one. Yeah.
but one of the things I do want to do, if I don't get that, is to shoot the Youth Olympics in Africa. And that's
That'd be
because
cool.
that's the first time that the Olympics will ever be on the African
that'd be
continent.
awesome.
And with that said, what would be your advice to try to get to that?
So a lot of people ask about 2028 because it's in LA, right? It's in the US. That makes it that much harder. So in-country teams get more credentials. So instead of getting 62, we might get 82 or whatever. But because we're in-country, everybody wants to shoot it. And so, like for instance, Tokyo during COVID was a little easier because so many people bowed out. But I can tell you, Paris, everybody wanted to go. So credentials were really tight. LA is going to be worse. So it's a hard one to answer just because as good as you might be at sports photography, you still probably won't get a credential for 2028. Like here's the crazy thing. Milan is 7 months away. Credentialing process was over a year ago. So it's a 2-year process. So we'll be in Milan and the closing date will be coming up for LA 2028 while we're still doing the Winter Olympics. Stuff like that, it's just crazy. So I wish I could give you a better answer, but now for doing the African
Right.
stuff, for the Youth Olympics, find someone who wants those images, offer it to them, if you can afford it, to go on your own dime, and just offer it to them and build a portfolio.
And for like a Team USA, how would you approach
You know, the
the
problem is,
youth of?
yeah, so Team USA doesn't really have any photographers. I thought they did that's what I was trying to pitch. And the problem is they don't, and so I had to work my way through. It took me 10 years to get here. And there is, so like going to the team and saying, I'll shoot for you, most of what they get is from Getty and those guys, from AP and Getty. So they'll say like, oh, we don't need them, we have a deal with them. It's tough. Find a different entity, not the team. Because getting a credential through a team is like almost impossible now.
Got it. And
It
second
has
part,
changed since I started. Even for me, it'd be hard to get one now.
Got it. Second part of the question is, one of the things I struggle with sometimes is going from wide open, right, for action,
Yep.
and then I need to take like a team photo.
Yeah.
And I guess assuming you have to kind of, lower the F number. That is a trap.
So here's the thing. You have to be, this is what I said, remember I told you before, you have to be ready for everything? So when I'm shooting, I'm always thinking about what's happening and what's gonna happen. So if I'm shooting an event and I have just you, I'll be at 2.8. If I get a good blur in the background, all that. But if I've got all of you and you have them different planes, so I've got the kids here, parents here, and grandparents here, 2.8, they're not gonna all be in focus, right? So I know I gotta be at like f5.6 or whatever. So I'll change it up. But those are things that they have to be in your brain. You have to know this inherently. So when I shoot the gold medal game, let's say for that water polo, I got there 3 hours before the game, even though I'd been there countless times to the same pool. Actually, they switched to the bigger pool for all the medal rounds. So I'd been there. But I went back and I said to every venue has a photo manager. So I said, hey, where's the medal ceremony gonna be? Where are they coming out from? What are they gonna be after the pool? He goes, after the pool, you have 15 minutes and everybody has to be off the pool deck. BS, that never happens. So we were on the pool deck for an hour. But that's what he said. Once we were done, that venue is over. There's no more events happening there. Swimming is done, water polo is done, they're done. So I knew that we'd have ample time. But I then researched where do I need to be? And I'm already thinking through, you know what, we're not allowed to use flash during the game, but I can use flash afterwards because I'm shooting for the team. I can do whatever I want. So I'll take my R1s, but I'll bring a flash with an R5 Mark II with a wider lens because I can't use a 1:3 because I got the team right in front of me. So I'll take maybe a 15-35 or 24-70. I'll have it ready with me with a flash on it so I can get that shot. So the challenge with sports is you've got to be, like, it's kind of like presenting, right? You feel like a human sponge. You have to be on. How many people here shoot events? Right? How many of you on Sunday feel like you got hit by a truck? Am I right? Like, it's hard. Mentally, you're on. You're looking around, oh, shoot, grandma's not been on the dance floor. She's out there right now. I got to get a picture of her dancing, right? You're mentally on. Physically, you're carrying cameras. You're doing the spray and pray shots. Your back's on fire. And Sunday, you're sitting down to edit, and you're like, ow, right? It's exhausting. But you have to stay one step ahead always. And so I tackle everything like the Olympics. When I shoot an event in the Bay Area, on Saturday from 9 in the morning till midnight, I'm posted and done on my gallery by noon on Sunday. So I use the same philosophy that I do for everything. So before I flew here, Saturday I shot a grad party at one of my wealthy clients. Before I flew out, posted and done, then I got on a plane. Stayed up to 1:45 in the morning, getting rid of all the bad ones and doing all that. But I use that same philosophy. I want to over-deliver for my clients every step. So part of that is in the shooting process and part of it is in the retouching. When I do my photo tours, I have people say like, hey, we got back from Africa, it's taken me 6 months, I'm still going through my images. I go through every night and get rid of the bad ones, rank the good ones, edit a couple, put them on social media. That way when I fly home, I'm done. Was there another question?
As you like have all this experience, but from the perspective of someone who's like trying to move up from like the level of like high school or amateur to college and then to professional, is there a point in which you feel pressure and or how do you deal with it up to this point?
I feel pressure every shoot I do. No, literally. Like I used to say, how many people here shoot to 2 cards at the same time? You should. If you have 2 card slots, shoot raw to both. I was director of marketing at Lexar for 12 years. I know what can go wrong with memory cards. I use ProGrade because they're the best, but shoot to 2. And I used to say to myself, I'm going to shoot to 2 cards if it's an important shoot. Then I realized, when is it not an important shoot? Right? If I'm shooting my grandkids in the backyard, it's still important to me, right? And the same thing is true for an event. I have the same level of stress for almost everything I do, but I feed off of that stress. Probably a lot of you do too. Weddings, right? There's that 15 minutes of that ceremony. You better get all those shots. So I'm stressed all the time in a good way, but I take everything very, very seriously. The only time I get ultra stressed, and my girlfriend would tell you, opening ceremonies, because it's, you get home at 4 in the morning, it's brutal. Especially Paris, that was a brutal one. But that, I'll get more stressed, and gold medal games, because I know I'm the hook, because I'm the only photographer for the team, I better not screw it up. So, but harness that stress and work from it. And if you're shooting at that level, offer it for free. Go to the high schools, especially if you show up with a good camera and lens and say you want to shoot it for free, they'll let you, trust me. And this is how I started. I tell them, I'll give you all the images for your yearbook. I don't care, you can have them. Right? Then they'll let you on the field. Then you get some good shots of that. Then you go to Stanford or some of the colleges. That's harder. But some of the lower level colleges, start working your way there, build the portfolio. You just get to know people. Oh, and the other thing I'll tell you is be nice to everybody. At the Olympics, you would think we're all very competitive. There is some of that. But we're all really cool with each other. Like all those people you saw when Simone Biles was on the stand, and I got there a little late, and this guy goes, oh my God, I watch all your videos. I'm like, here, come on in here. I'm like, thanks. So it has its advantages. But we try to work with each other. Like, hey, I'll tell someone, I'm gonna shoot with a 15-35, where are you gonna be? And he goes, oh, how wide are you? Am I in your frame? No, you're good. And we all try to work off each other. Be nice to everybody, because the guy in the high school you might be nice to, turns out might be the college photographer. So think about that too. Other questions over here? We have 1 minute and 20. Oh, let me just say this. I will be in the back afterwards, so if anybody have additional questions that we don't get to, just outside these doors, I'll answer anything you guys have. So. Yeah, I use 7200 for anything I'm close. Remember, at the Olympics, like when I shoot tennis, I'm right at the front of the court. So 7200 is plenty. For ice hockey, same thing. 7200 generally works for most of what I shoot with hockey. I can't go all the way across to the other side of the rink, but I can. I'm shooting through plexiglass. We're lucky to get past about a 30-degree angle, and it looks like crap. So, yeah, it depends. Obviously, if I'm shooting downhill skiing or other things like that, I'm shooting with the up to 400 or 500 millimeters. Just depends. Some sports I'm shooting with a 24-70. There's a couple more questions. That's our last question. Okay, but I promised to answer them. I will be in the back, right? And I'll answer anything you guys have. I do have a 1:30 lunch I've got to be at, but we're good. So I'll be in the back. Cool. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it.